When we were kids, so many of us went through the experience of having our parents get divorced. And to this day, I don't think many of us are that clear on just how much of an impact that had on us now as adults today. That's what I want to talk about in this video, so stick around. If your parents were divorced when you were a kid, I guarantee that something I say in this video is going to be of interest to you. So what did this mean when our parents got divorced? Well, for the vast majority of us, it meant only seeing our dad every Wednesday or Thursday, every other weekend. And for the most part, we were all raised by our moms. And this means that we just really didn't see our father as often as we should have. Even if he was still in our lives, even if he still supported us and showed up for us, the fact remains that he just wasn't really around as much as we needed him to be. And I don't think many of us realize just quite how much of an impact that had on the development of our own sense of our masculinity. And it's that impact that I want to dive into in this video. But before I get to it, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel if you're new, and make sure that you sign up to our email list. We've got a great guide of 5 tips to gain core confidence. You get it free when you sign up, so don't miss out on that. Click the link in the description below. So let's dive into this impact. First of all, we all have a crucial need, a crucial psychological need when we're growing up for both parents to be in our lives, the mom and the dad. It's important that we have both, that we receive care from both in order to develop properly psychologically. Now, since this channel is just for men, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about mother-daughter relationships or the role of the mother. I really want to focus on the role of the father, particularly since for most of us, it was our dad who was gone most of the time during the divorce. So I really want to spend some time coming at it from the angle of the father-son relationship. So what's so important about our dad? What's the significance of the role he plays, or is supposed to play, in our childhood? Well, for starters, our father is our masculine role model. He's supposed to give us the example of what it means to be a man. Now, I'm not saying that this is taught directly. 90% of it is just going to be what we pick up by observing him in action, in life, in the house, at work, his relationship with our mother, his relationship with other people. We're watching and paying attention, and we're picking up on all of those things. So this is not necessarily something that he's sitting down and teaching us, like, oh, this is how you are masculine. This is stuff that we pick up on just by watching him as we grow up. Because as kids, we're like sponges. We're just absorbing everything we see, and it's especially true of what we see from our parents. So what are some of the things we see from our father as we're growing up that sort of teach us what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine? Well, for starters, leadership. We see him taking care of the family, running things, making decisions. We see resilience and fortitude from him. We see him controlling himself when times are hard, knowing that we're watching. We see him making decisions, being decisive when needed. We see him never backing down when a decision needs to be made. And this connects back to leadership as well. We learn from him how to treat women. I mean, the line, "don't talk to your mother that way," has become a cliche in our culture. I mean, it's the father's job to make sure that we're listening to our mother, treating her respectfully, telling us to listen to her. You know, if we ever had a problem with a girl at school, you know, we could come to him and talk to him about it, and, you know, he would help us navigate the situation. You know, this is what you should do with this girl, this is, you know, if we needed help in that way. And also just the example that he set, treating our mother the way she should be treated. That's something that we're paying attention to. And in that relationship, we're picking up on the elements of romance that we're going to carry with us into adulthood. A father shows us how to use our bodies, how to get comfortable with them. He has us out in the yard doing yard work with him. He's taking us fishing, you know, he's getting us into sports, you know, he's getting us comfortable with the use of our bodies and physical action. And he shows us how to understand ourselves as men, as what it means to be a man. He's there to remind us that as men, there are certain things expected of us. He teaches us how to shake hands properly. He shows that it's possible for us to create our own little universe, our own little family unit, and to be a team leader. Now, I could go into all the things that a mother provides, which are just as important and just as fascinating, but I really want to stick to the father's role here. This is just an off-the-cuff list of some of the things that I think are most obvious about what a father provides for a son in particular, but I think it's a good place to get started. Now, what happens when we don't have that? What happens when we don't have a father on the scene all the time to be showing us these things, teaching us these things? Well, the most obvious effect is that our masculinity in this department remains underdeveloped. We lose insights into these critical lessons. Lessons on leadership, lessons on decisiveness, lessons on self-control, lessons on romance. All of that doesn't happen. And the result is that many of us grow up insecure in our own masculinity. We stay timid, nervous, indecisive, shy, afraid to go out and conquer life and chase the things that we want. And the result is that we stagnate in life. We're not chasing our interests. We're not chasing our passions. We're not chasing women. We're just stuck. Now, there's a lot of other reasons why you might be stuck in life that have nothing to do with divorce. All I'm doing in this video is just isolating developmentally how divorce can lead to these things. It's one of many options. It doesn't necessarily have to have been divorce. So the question is, what can we do about it? Well, the first thing to know is that you can get better. You're not stuck this way. But how? What are the steps? Well, I'm going to outline a few, and all of them involve journaling. Because what we have to do is unpack what happened in our past. And so that requires you getting comfortable with yourself and sitting down and writing about it. So let's go through them. Step 1, forgiveness. Even to this day, many of us are still angry with our parents for having gotten divorced. And the first step really is to let go of that anger. Easier said than done, but in order to move on from the past, we have to process that anger that we've buried deep inside ourselves. And we have to forgive our parents for what happened. They weren't trying to hurt you. They just made a bad match. And as a child, it was probably literally impossible for you to understand what was going on in their relationship at the time. And I think the most important thing for us to take away is that our parents gave us more than they took away with that divorce. If you're alive today, you have your parents to thank for that. I mean, they took care of all your needs. They made sure you got where you needed to be on time. I mean, really, we owe so much to them that I think we have to shift perspectives on this and stop being angry with them and just know that they were trying to do what they thought was best. Even if it made us go through hell, there's still a lot that we owe to them. I think coming at it from that perspective makes it a little easier to move past the anger into forgiveness. But there's also a lot of us out there who can't really forgive our parents. I mean, maybe our father died, or maybe he left, or maybe there were other forces preventing us from seeing him or having our parents be together. And for you guys, and this applies to the guys in the first group too, the thing to do here is not so much to forgive our parents, but to forgive ourselves. You are not responsible for anything that happened when you were a child. It's the adults in the room at the time who were responsible for what happened to you. And you cannot carry the blame or the shame or the weight of what happened on your shoulders into adulthood. Your parents did what they did because of them and not because of you. So it's really, really important that you remember this. It's not your fault. So here's a journaling tip for step 1. Ask yourself this: do you hold any grudges for what happened in the past? Grudges towards your parents, grudges towards yourself, and be honest with yourself here. Step 2, reconnect with your child self. The kid we once were still exists in us, psychologically. He's been tempered now that you're an adult, but it's not like you have a completely different personality now from when you were a kid. That little kid version of you is still a part of who you are. And it's time that you meet back up with him. You need to remember and understand what he went through and why he did what he did back then. And this part's going to be different for everybody. We all have different personalities. But you have to start seeing him and who you are today, because he was the one who went through the divorce. And it's him that you're going to have to deal with when you start journaling about all this. So here's a journaling tip for this step. Ask yourself, what are some of the things that I like about my kid self? And then, what are some of the things that annoy me about my kid self? And oh my God, I could go on forever with that list. But the goal here isn't to get mad at your past kid self. The goal is to understand him and to invite him back into your life and to remember him. Now, step 3. It's time to head towards regrowth. So there are going to be parts of your masculinity that are still underdeveloped. And so what we need to do here is think about the parts of our masculinity we feel insecure about and start listing them out. Now, this is going to be the hardest part. You can refer back to the part of the video where I listed out some of the things that I think a father should teach, and see if any of those things are things that are missing in you today. These are going to be the parts of you that you and your kid self are going to need to work on. It really sucks that our dads never got the chance to show us this stuff, to teach us this stuff, to engage with us about it. But if we're able to forgive him, if we're able to forgive ourselves, then we can start thinking about how we can take on the challenge of gaining all of that knowledge and gaining those skills for ourselves today. And of course, that's totally possible. That's what this channel is all about. So here's a journaling tip for step 3. Ask yourself, what are some of the lessons that you wish your father had taught you that you don't have with you today? And also ask yourself, if you were a father, what are some of the things that you would want to teach your son and make sure that he carried away with him into adulthood? Now, our whole channel is about helping you to rediscover and rebuild your masculinity. So if you want tips for how to do this, subscribe to our channel, like this video, give it a boost. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a comment below. Let me know what you liked about it. Let me know what you didn't like about it. Any feedback you have to give is appreciated. And thank you so much for watching.